Oh, back to school, to prove to Dad that I'm not a fool. I got my lunch packed up, my boots tied tight. I hope I don't get in a fight. Oh, back to school, back to school, back to school.
Remember the moment in school when you'd get your class schedule for the year? The first question you'd ask is, are my friends in any of my classes? Then you'd wonder, when's lunch? And finally, you'd feel the dread of, damn, this class is going to suck ass. Just a very quick side note, one glorious year in high school, myself and friend of the pod, Abel, had every single class together. We would go to school together. We would leave school together. We would walk to every single class together. People, i.e., haters, found it weird that we were always together. Because why the hell wouldn't we when you're going to class together and leaving together and all that good shit? And they started calling us Chabelle because they were jealous. It's also kind of cute. We were the original Brad Jelena. Okay, back to the Bears. After the leaks and the rumors and the whispers and stories of possible sabotage and Ben Johnson yelling at Cole Kmet to get into the right position, the official 2025 schedule is out and our left foot is forward. So, what are the storylines that we have to look forward to this upcoming season?
It's funny. We wanted to talk about the schedule last week, and then this whole Wickersham book, Caleb not wanting to come to Chicago thing, took over, and we kind of had to derail to that. But
Yeah.
the schedule came out. It's not an easy schedule by any means, but there's a lot of fun games on there, especially if you feel like the Bears are gonna, take a step forward or move in a different direction than what we've seen in the years past. I think one of the biggest things you can take away is that the NFL also has belief in the Bears. They had a 10-game losing streak last year, but they have 5 primetime games this year. And if you combine that with 2 additional games they have in that late window, that late afternoon spot that most of the audience, national audience, watches because there's only another 1 or 2 competing games. You have at least 7 games where that national audience will be tuned in to watch the Bears. And so I think that's one of the big takeaways is the NFL is not scared to do that. And it's not like they're all early where they're like, yeah, let's ride the hype train. And then, they're going to fizzle out and you don't really have to worry about that. So I thought that was pretty interesting. They don't have a Thanksgiving game or a Thursday game. I'm sorry, a Thursday game for the first time since 2011 or something like that. So, but you still have to do Amazon Prime Video because their Friday game, the Black Friday game, will be on Amazon Prime Video. So you kind of still have to do that commitment. I think they have a game on Peacock, maybe. I don't know. But there's a lot of different avenues there. But yeah, I think that's kind of cool that they still managed to get the primetime audience. Now Chicago is a large market, so that probably plays into it. But you got franchises like the Jets who are also in a large market, don't really have any. So
Yeah, I definitely found, yeah, it was definitely kind of wild to see given how much ass they were last year and like strong ass they were last year to have. It really does be like this is all right, Caleb, here's your
yeah.
opportunity. Here, Ben Johnson, here's your shine. Like this is yours to now kind of lose.
And it's not like they have an easy schedule. They have the second toughest strength of schedule after the Giants. So they're still telling you, like, yeah, we're going to put a product out there that the national audience can see. And Bears fans hate being on national TV because they just don't never play well on national television. And they just look like complete morons. And then by proxy, we look like complete morons, right? For supporting this product and choosing to spend our time and money with this.
That feeling
But
of defeat. Sorry, just that as you were saying that gut feeling of like watching your team on Monday Night Football just be straight ass is heavy,
it's
sad.
deflating.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
it's
deflating.
not a good feeling, man.
We feel like apologizing to the nation to be like, yeah, I'm sorry, guys. We knew this was going to happen. We let it happen anyway. And that's kind of on us. And I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But, like I said, they have a pretty tough they start out okay, then they head into the bye, which we'll talk about in a second. But then they don't have back-to-back home games until December, and so that's a while to just like constantly be on the road, home, road, road, home, road, and those back-to-back home games in December, you don't even get like the Cowboys or the Raiders or somebody that's like doesn't want to be there in the cold. They get the Browns and the Packers in December at home back-to-back. Two teams that are used to playing in garbage weather. So they don't really have much of a cold weather advantage. That even like the Saints, they don't get them in December either. So at home, so it'll be hard. Every game will be a challenge. We talked about that early bye week, right? That I just mentioned. Week 5 is their bye, and that's the first bye week that's offered during the schedule. So they have the first bye week available. Good news, bad news. Good news is the Lions had that the first bye week last year. So Ben Johnson, while he wasn't the head coach, he's still kind of accustomed to having that bye week there. So it's not foreign to him. But the bad news is we all remember what happened at the end of the Lions season where their entire starting defense was on the injured reserve. They were like a walking mash unit. So, is that a byproduct of the early bye week where they just get unlucky? It's a long season, and to like have that bye week so early, man, that last part of the season's grueling. And then when you get into the fact that like, final 5 games have 3 division opponents, the Packers twice, I think. That's when you want to be at your best, right? And they might be a little beat up by then. So something to look out for.
Yeah. I wonder if there's like yeah, I mean, maybe that's something we'll have to. I'm curious to see just like early bye week, late bye week, how that impacts teams and sort of long term over the course of a season. I mean, just a, gut feeling, you'd like to have a little break a little later on in the season.
Absolutely,
I mean,
yeah.
it's like when you get early lunch in like the fourth period, and it's like, bro, it's still like it's 9:45 or 10:30 or whatever. It's like, dude, that's yeah.
You and Abel holding hands, eating lunch.
We never held hands, but we did walk together really closely. Just
really closely. Too closely.
Yeah, okay. The framing of this schedule with the Commanders coming off of the bye again, like
yeah,
I mean that's like I wonder how much that, weighs on a team knowing what happened last year and like that hinge. It's like basically the exact same time. Was it a week off? It was like week 6 and week 7, I think maybe.
We had Washington off of the bye last year as well.
Yeah.
Except this year they're gonna watch that Hail Mary on replay over and over and over again. I mean, I'm sure since it's a nationally televised game, it's gonna be shown over and over and over again. These guys are gonna have to like, gosh, and like if the Bears can win there, like hopefully we never have to watch it ever again, right? That's one of the games I have circled. It's like a big game, right? If you go back to last year and how that game ended, the Bears were coming off the Jaguars. We did the pulse of the people during the bye week and everything was smelling like roses, right?
Yeah.
And the game was a little bit of a struggle. They came out flat. It was kind of a theme for us last year, talking about like, man, the first 2 series, they look like they never practiced together. They don't know what they're doing out there. And the whole game felt that way. And then when it was go time and it was crunch time, and despite the handoff fumble to Doug Kramer, Caleb found a way to score and take the lead with like less than a minute left, right? And you're like, dude, these guys are finding a way, figuring it out. And then after that Hail Mary, 10-game losing streak. And they just like fell off the cliff. And so that was the fork in the road. And then maybe that was the fork in the road for Washington as well, because they won a ton of close games. They won all the fourth quarter games and blown games that the Bears had was the opposite for the Commanders. They found a way to win, and they rolled it all the way to the NFC Championship game, which is very impressive. The first year quarterback and then, first year head coach, even though Quinn's been a head coach before, but this is his first year with the team. So felt like really just like a fork in the road. So that's, how will the Bears come in? How will they respond going back to Washington and going,
Yeah, dude, they made them
exercising those demons.
Going back to the same. That's such a, when we talked a little bit about storylines last year. Like, this is like, go back to the same place where the same shit.
And don't you think Caleb's sick
time.
of like so much Jaden Daniels talk? I mean, people have, putting Bo Nix above him, and I'm sure he needs to punch back in this Daniels versus Williams debate.
I mean, own city where people are like, even
Yeah.
us, we were like, it's still, I don't know, it's not like clear necessarily, and maybe it's their
Hmm.
rookie year, but it's still like, that question looms heavy and gets
Yeah.
heavier, and it happened against the dude that
The
like you're,
dude.
yeah. Is that your like number one game of the season?
I think so. I think so.
Mm.
I mean, the division games are all important, right? Obviously, everybody looks forward to week one. That's probably the most exciting game on the calendar. But let's take week one out of it. It's also Monday Night Football against a division rival. That one's going to be for sure, I think, the most look forward to game. And we get to see Ben Johnson in his coaching debut. We get to see another offseason of Caleb, see how the rookies do, right? That one's the most exciting. But if you take that out of it, this Commanders game, I think, is going to be one that fans are really interested in um, a lot. And I think another one is at Lambeau. Um, and that doesn't happen, like I said, till later.
Yeah.
But Caleb Williams, undefeated, as Seth Rollins pointed out, in Lambeau, right? And so I'm interested to see how they go back there and do. And I think it's their first meeting is the one that's in Lambeau. And
Yeah.
so you got this like weird, spicy Ben Johnson, Matt LaFleur. We didn't know it was a rivalry, but maybe it is thing with Ben Johnson kind of poking at him, says how much he loves to beat LaFleur, and LaFleur's like, I don't even know this guy. Like, he goes, I don't know you like that, bro. And so, he's like, what happened to the other coach that got a new haircut? And I was sitting on the sidelines with him at like a Bucks game or something. So there's a little bit of tension there. So I'm interested to see how that one goes
Yeah.
for that game. And what's cool is like that monkey's off their back, right? Like they're not scared to go in there. They're not expecting to lose. Caleb's like, I won here. Like, and if it wasn't for a blocked field goal, he would be undefeated against the Packers,
Yeah.
and like I think he's ready for it. And Ben Johnson clearly has beaten Packers, and so he's knows what to do also. So I'm excited. The Bears can like go in and make a statement win against them, not just like on a last second field goal. Man, I think that does so much for this fan base that like just keeps getting owned by this one team over and over again.
Yeah. So what would you say like are some of the more like other games that concern you, maybe either from a toughness perspective or a like
Oh,
trap game?
I mean their road schedule is brutal. They've got at Philly, at Cincy, at Baltimore, and then their division games, right? And I think at Baltimore, at Philly, I think are going to be losses. I don't think they're there yet, right? They're not in the same class as those teams. Division games are weird. They can go either way, as we saw. The Bears won in Lambeau. They were a, a weird that game against at Detroit and Thanksgiving came down to such a weird ending. I feel like that could have gone either way if they had better coaching and knew what they were doing. And then I think at Minnesota was not close, but still, it's a division game. I feel like that can be swayed, but their road schedule is tough. They do have, I think, a couple games that are pretty easy. Um, they have the Giants at home, right? They have the Saints at home. And so I guess maybe you can call those kind of trap games. Well, especially the Saints game is sandwiched between the two road games, Commanders and Ravens. So you got at Washington, which is going to be an emotionally charged game for all the reasons we just talked about. Then you come home against the Saints, and then you go to Baltimore, right? And are you looking ahead, right, to the Ravens because that's an elite team that you're going to go against? Are you coming off an emotional game against the Commanders where you're just not only drained physically, but it took a lot out of you to go back there, and maybe it was kind of a crazy game, so you're not totally taking the Saints seriously. But the Saints are going to be so bad that I can't see the Bears like dropping that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Man.
I,
Yeah.
I think one of the most interesting games though of the year is the Steelers game. So they get the Steelers at home, and normally it's fine, right? It's a whatever game. But if Aaron Rodgers signs with the Steelers, this could be this last possible game in Soldier Field. And I don't know if you remember the last time he was at Soldier Field, but that was That was the game where he passed Brett Favre for the most regular season wins by a quarterback against the Chicago since like 1950 or something. But that's also the one where he told the Bears fans, "I still own you," right after
Mm,
scoring the touchdown. And he's been kind of playing that up a lot since then, talking about how he's the owner and yada yada, just like cheeky fun. But since it's Aaron Rodgers, nobody finds it cheeky or fun. It's just like cringy. And so this could be his last start at Soldier Field, and I'm sure those fans are going to let him hear it. And if the Steelers are, I don't know, if they're not that good, who knows what kind of shape? I mean, their defense is always bringing it, but like maybe offensively they're not that good, right? They just traded Pickens. I know they signed Metcalf, but who knows? Like, so it'd be interested to see. I would really circle that game for Rodgers this last start in Soldier. I think the fans will give it to him. I think the players are going to be really hyped up. Players like Jalen Johnson, right, that have been here a minute
yeah.
and had to play
Yeah.
against
Dealt with that shit.
sorry,
Yeah.
had to play against Rodgers, dealt with that. Like they're going to be licking their chops, and so that would be an exciting one too.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think you had said it last week. It's definitely like I mean, maybe every team probably feels this way, but just full of storylines, and there's just like full of
Yes,
each game kind of feels every game is important in a football season, but
yeah,
each game has like this game means this and this game means that, and it's kind
yeah,
of fun to like
100%. It is
yeah, just
cool. You can go through line by line, right? I mean, you got the division games, which always mean a lot, but you got Eberflus coming back, right? And you got Roquan Smith revenge game against the Ravens, and then you get Dennis Allen going up against his old team in the Saints, and then even the Raiders, right? Like the Bears wanted to draft Ashton Genty, and they weren't able to, and now he's on the Raiders. Now they get to play against the guy that they really wanted to draft. So, so many fascinating storylines this year with every single game. So it's I don't know, it's pretty exciting. I'm obviously always very excited for the season. I
yeah.
just hope that they're playing meaningful games in December, right? When it counts. And we'll see. It's a tough schedule, but it's also like really exciting to see what we could do because also it's another unknown, right? If they didn't fire Eberflus and God forbid, I don't know how he would have survived, but let's say they ran it back and let's say he only had an 8-game losing streak instead of a 10-game losing streak, and they finished with like 7 wins. And like, just run it back. Like, you wouldn't be as excited because you kind of know what to expect and where you're going to be outclassed and where you're not.
Yeah, the unknown makes it, yeah, the unknown just makes it very exciting. And the like
Yeah.
positive unknown, it's like unknown with like significant potential, which is, yeah, makes it very,
Mm-hmm.
very, very thrilling.
That's where we
Okay,
are in our Bears off-season hype train.
good. And it's
Before it all comes crashing down.
this is my first true like deep dive into a Bears off season. My previous past was like, whatever stuff's happening, shit's happening. This is like I am watching everything, reading about
You know what the
fucking
Bears are like? Like I just talked to you about this, right? I was out Saturday morning till 3:30 a.m. And for a 42-year-old man, this is a terrible idea. But that's what happened. And I ended up at Taco Bell at 3:30 in the morning. And the Bears are like Taco Bell, where you're just like on your way there. You're like, this is gonna be great. I'm really excited for it. What could go wrong? And then you have it, and you're like, oh, that's why. That's why I should not get really excited about this.
and then you forget and a couple months later it's 3:30 again and
And you're like,
here
let's
we are
go
back
Taco
at
Bell.
Taco Bell.
And you're like, it's a terrible idea. So
Before we finish up,
Taco Bell of NFL franchises.
before we finish up, any final thoughts? Anything either related to the season or any of the sort of, Joe Tooney signed an extension. Um,
Yeah, no, that was big. Tooney signing an extension was big. There's been rumblings about Nick Chubb again. Who knows how that's going to play out, but I really like how they're building, how they built the offseason. I like the way that they're approaching things. But as I said, I think last week, I wouldn't expect any. I'd be surprised if they sign Chubb now. I would think it's probably one of those they're going to wait to see all the camp cuts are and then see what fits them the best. Because I don't think it does them any benefit to sign Chubb now versus later. I don't think if teams were really interested in Chubb, they would have signed him already, right?
gotcha.
So that led you to believe that the market is what it is, and people are kind of just taking a wait and see. So there's no reason to bid against yourself here. Just play it out, see who gets cut, see who's on the waiver wire, and then probably make a move after that.
Yeah.
Oh, there are some joint practices coming up. The Bears preseason schedule was released, and they play the Bills and the Dolphins, and the Chiefs, but they have joint practices with the Bills and the Dolphins. And the Bills are going to be on Hard Knocks. So you might actually get a little sneak peek of some Bears action on Hard Knocks because of the joint practice and the preseason game. So
Oh, badass.
something to look out for there.
Okay, articles, let people know where they can read it and where they can follow you on social media.
Yes. If you've been listening to the pod, you know that I write for ontapsportsnet.com. You can find me there. I do post all my articles on my X, which is at smpatel06, so you can find them there too.
You can follow me at Mr. Rathod's Neighborhood on Instagram. For Samir Patel, I'm Chirag Rathod. We are the Bears in the Neighborhood, and we are your weekly Bears update in under 30 minutes or less. And we will catch you all slightly later next week than usual. Normally, the episodes drop Tuesday mornings. Next week's episode will probably drop Wednesday morning. Thank you for listening.
That Mexican pizza hits, though.